Well, good afternoon, everybody. So I just wished to say I'm so deeply impressed by all the good wishes that people send me and all the good advice people offer. It's fantastic. I didn't realize, or maybe I did, but it just showed me once again how many people there are with goodwill around the world, good people. And I wish to thank you for that. So a lot of things happened in my life when I was dealing with animals, snakes, various dangerous situations. And this one is a once-off. Something which made me go absolutely cold and so unexpected. I never dreamed such a thing could happen. I got off completely unscathed, but it could have been otherwise. I might have ended up in a million pieces. These are true tales of my African adventures. May this inspire you, deter you, caution you, and above all, entertain you. So what happened is they were digging, when I say they, the municipality, which is like the council, were digging a trench, a 3-meter deep trench. That's a pretty deep trench, about 4 meters wide, from Windhoek to Okahanya in Namibia, the old Southwest Africa. Let me tell you that this is a country to visit. If ever you wish to go to a place, an intriguing, incredibly beautiful, diversified place with landscapes, deserts, forests, savanna, animals, game parks, it is the most beautiful place. It is, I cannot even describe how magnificent it is. And there are these tremendous German people who've been there for many centuries. Wonderful people and interesting tribes there too. It's a wonderful place. I went there for 25 years, for 5 weeks at a stretch every year for 25 years. I loved the place. My wife and I spend many interesting times in the deserts, forests, savannas, rocky outcrops, mountainous areas of Namibia. In fact, getting there, you go through the Orange River Valley, cross the Orange River, where in summer the temperature goes to 50, or I think this year or last year it went to 51 degrees centigrade. It's unbelievable. You think you've just driven into some sort of a firestorm when you go through the place. Anyway, so the municipality were digging this trench, and it was a huge trench. And we were driving one day from Windhoek to Okahanya. We were going north to Otjiwarongo. Okahanya is a Herero name, Ochi Herero, that's one of the tribes there. And it means the place where 2 rivers meet and flow into one. That's what the name means. And we thought we'd go and have a look at the trench. You couldn't see how deep it was. It was way off the road. But we know that if people dig trenches in the bush, animals fall in and they may need rescuing. So we walked over to the trench and we were really caught by surprise. A very deep trench, wide, 4 meters wide, 3 meters deep, and soft red earth in it at the bottom, powdery earth. It was winter and it was very dry, and the rains come very late, usually December or just after December, and anything in that trench at midday would get burnt to death by the heat of the sun. We looked down, we saw snake tracks. We thought, oh, there are snakes in here. And we saw footprints. And so we decided to go and collect all our goods, snake sticks, hook sticks, collect some bags, some tins, boxes, and carry them to the edge of the trench and hop in and see what we find. And we just found masses and masses of snakes. They were coming along the normal route which they would traverse, moving from one place to the other in search of whatever it is they were looking for. And very easily they fell. They went over the edge a little, and before they could correct themselves, the loose sand gave way and they would fall down into the trench. And there were these beautiful sand snakes, quite large ones, different species. Also mole snakes, cobras, adders, quite a variety. And so what we would do, there were so many, and they needed rescuing, because we found dead ones from the previous day. If they could find a crevice or a huge clod of sand to hide behind or under, the mole snakes would burrow a little into soft sand. They would survive, but those that could not find shade would die from the heat of the sun at midday. I had a t-shirt on. There were so many snakes, I tucked my t-shirt into my belt and started putting the snakes down the front of my t-shirt, and they were writhing around my body. Felt like a spaghetti factory. It was quite a strange sensation to have 20 or 30 snakes crawling around inside, and they were quite happy to be there, I think, because they realized the sun was their enemy. And then once in a while, my friend would give me a lift up, a foot up over the edge, and I'd walk 100 or 150 meters into the bush, pull out my t-shirt, and the spaghetti factory would empty, and they would just shoot off in all directions. It was quite a thing. Anyway, cobras, of course, didn't go down the t-shirt. Cobras had to go into a container. And then when we had a couple of cobras, we'd get out, go a long distance, release the cobras. Adders, same thing, no t-shirt, only in bags. I mean, we were silly in those days, but not that stupid. So this carried on for most of the afternoon, and then we abandoned our trip to Otjiwarongo, and we decided to go back to Windhoek and come back and do the entire trench. Now, it's a long trench. It was many kilometers, so we would never walk it in one day, but we thought we'd try to get as far as we could, save as many snakes as we can. All the little furry animals seemed to get out. You know, we found the footprints, mongoose and so on. I think they just carried on and on and on and on during the day or the night until they found, and there were places where there were rocks and slopes, and then they obviously got out. So this went on for a few days. We were rescuing snakes by the ton. And on this particular day, we got into the trench and we walked, I don't know, 4 or 5 kilometers, rescuing snakes again. And then there was this rocky outcrop in front of us. It was probably 1.8, 1.9 meters high, a bit of a face. And then it was lower than the trench, and we thought, well, we just get onto the rocks and get down on the other side and continue. And my friend gave me a foot up. I got up, looked behind me, thought, this is strange, grass all over in these holes in the rock. Anyway, I turned around, gave him a hand, pulled him up, and we both stood there and we looked at what was in front of us. So what faced us is there were holes drilled in the rock for 20 meters or so to the width of the trench. And each hole was stuffed with grass. And then we saw the wires leading into each hole, into the grass, down into the hole. And suddenly we went cold. We were standing on a field of dynamite. They were going to blow this rock. And we were standing, I cannot tell you what it does to you to find yourself standing on a field of dynamite. We were still 1.20 meters or so, or 1.15 something down from the surrounds where we could see over the top, and there were vehicles some distance off belonging to the municipality. So we thought they might be going to detonate this dynamite field now because the vehicles were there. And all the wires came together at one point and went over the side, and we couldn't see which direction they were going in. But it could easily have been that they were heading towards these vehicles. And it was probably about the right place for the detonator to be, because they were far enough from falling rock. As soon as we got over the shock, we leapt out. I leapt one side, he leapt the other side, and we ran. And then we stood there, and I had a terrible rush of adrenaline in my body, and my heart was going, and I was feeling quite flushed and sweating. And we stood, and we stood, and we stood, and we stood. Nothing happened. And we weren't feeling great from the shock. We thought we had actually abandoned the day's snake rescuing, because it was quite late after all, and rather head back to Windhoek and go and have an ice cold Windhoek lager to celebrate the fact that we didn't get blown up. It was quite a thing, I must tell you. Last time, I came close to being blown into 1,000 pieces. Hey, by the way, I do have Patreon, so you can join me there too.